Welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. It's why I constantly say to you, make sure you subscribe, watch, comment, and share with your friends because there's so much going on. The chaos, it's not stopping. Literally, moments ago, Trump gave a press conference regarding the plane crash into the Potomac River. And that was, of course, between the American airline plane and a Black Hawk military helicopter. And I want to talk about it because it was painful. As somebody that sat beside this man for almost a decade and a half, I can't believe this is the same man that I used to revere. I can't believe this is the same man who I worked for so long. This is not him. This is not him. What he's drunk with, I don't know, whether it's power, the money, the being able to sit at the table with these, Elon Musks of the world. I don't know what it is, but this is absurd. It is not him. I want to show you a clip of him saying that they actually already know what led to the crash. No, they don't. Play the clip.
We do not know what led to this crash, but we have some very strong opinions and ideas, and I think we'll probably state those opinions now. Because over the years I've watched as things like this happen, and they say, well, we're always investigating, and then the investigation 3 years later, they announce it. We think we have some pretty good ideas, but
they don't. Let me also go on to say the easiest thing for President Trump to have done, turn around, come out there to the briefing room, say, I want to take a moment of silence in honor of those who lost their lives yesterday with this unnecessary tragedy. And then take a moment and then leave it alone. Maybe answer a couple of questions. We are investigating this. We want to give you facts. Instead, what does he do? He takes the opportunity, this tragedy, to blame Biden and Obama for the crash. Yeah, he actually did that. He blamed Biden and Obama for the crash. Play the clip.
Christopher, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We must have only the highest standards for those who work in our aviation system. I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. You remember that. Only the highest aptitude, they have to be the highest intellect and psychologically superior people were allowed to qualify for air traffic controllers. That was not so prior to getting there. When I arrived in 2016, I made that change very early on because I always felt this was a job that, and other jobs too, but this was a job that had to be superior intelligence, and we didn't really have that, and we had it. And then when I left office and Biden took over, he changed them back to lower than ever before. I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. And they put politics at a level that nobody's ever seen, because this was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible, and their politics was even worse. So as you know, last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order restoring our highest standards for air traffic controllers and other important jobs throughout the country. So it was very interesting. About a week ago, almost upon entering office, I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers and others, by the way. And my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. They have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't.
Blame game goes around, doesn't stop with just this one. He blames Biden again. Play that clip.
And I think I can't emphasize stronger. I changed it when I first ran in 2016. I changed it. We had the highest standard that you could have. And then they changed it back. That was Biden. to a standard I read it to you. That was from one of your papers. One of the people in this room actually wrote that. And then I changed it back a few days ago. And unfortunately, that was, we'll see. We don't know that necessarily it's even the controller's fault. But one thing we do know, there was a lot of vision, and people should have been able to see that, at what point do you stop? At what point do you say, wow, that plane's getting a little bit close? So this
doesn't stop there, too, because he also needed to take this opportunity to bash Pete Buttigieg, the former transportation secretary. Play that clip.
Then I came in, and I assume maybe this is the reason. The FAA, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a real winner. That guy's a real winner. Do you know how badly everything's run since he's run this Department of Transportation? He's a disaster. He was a disaster as a mayor. He ran his city into the ground, and he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit.
Well, last week, as part of the Trump initiative, they decided, and they did, end DEI initiatives, specifically within the FAA. Can't take a tragedy away from bringing in DEI, can you? Fact sheet: President Donald J. Trump ends DEI madness and restores excellence and safety within the Federal Aviation Administration. My friends, that's January 22nd. On a fact sheet, Trump ended DEI madness? Seriously? He did that with what? The stroke of a Sharpie? Wow. It's truly hard to believe this is what we're talking about. Trump then was asked during a couple of questions if he thinks that diversity hirings might have been responsible or might have caused this crash. Play the clip.
Mr. President, on DEI and the claims that you've made, are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power. You have to go by psychological quality. And psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are various very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden. And Biden went by a standard that's the exact opposite. So we don't know, but we do know that you had two planes at the same level. You had a helicopter and a plane. That shouldn't have happened. And we'll see. We're going to look into that, and we're going to see. But certainly for an air traffic controller, we want the brightest, the smartest, the sharpest. We want somebody that's psychologically superior, and that's what we're going to have. Yeah, yeah, please, go ahead.
Reporter then further asks him how he could come to that conclusion. You're so early into an investigation. This isn't even now a crash. This is a recovery effort. And it appears that there are no survivors. But Donald Trump and his team have already come to the conclusion that it could be diversity, equity, inclusion, could be, who knows. Play the clip.
Mr. President, you have today blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. You then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
Common sense on what? Here's what we already do know. That somehow or another, the helicopter was in communication with the tower, and they told him to follow him in. Following him in means that he is behind the plane. Plane was already on its descent. Helicopter's behind. How or why? The helicopter ended up crashing into the plane. And as Trump said, he was able to see him. That's one thing a helicopter has, is a pretty good view of sight. Crashed into him. Well, Are we now going to say that the military, that the helicopter pilot, based upon diversity, is what caused this crash? It's a good thing. It's a good thing, common sense. Common sense would have been, keep your mouth shut. Make a prayer. Put your head down for a brief moment and say, we're going to take a moment to remember those lost in this unfortunate tragedy. That's not what happens. Nope. And MAGA, they don't miss a goddamn step, do they? Representative Andy Ogles, moron, already on Fox News. God forbid he should miss an opportunity. He's already on Fox News this morning, even before Trump had his press conference, spewing the same bullshit rhetoric that this is all about DEI. Play the clip.
Is there any reason to believe there was any foul play here?
Well, at this time, you hate to jump to any conclusions. Obviously, we'll look at everything, check all the boxes. I had just taken off from D.C. Before the crash, and of course, it came across my cell phone, and I saw it and was horrified. So prayers go out to all those impacted. But, to your point, I think you have to look at this with eyes wide open, see what happened. Human error, was it some sort of equipment failure? Did DEI play a role in this type of thing? So I think you look at it, you go into it with, again, eyes wide open and make sure that something like this never happens. It's been a number of years since we've had an aircraft collision such as this. And so, again, prayers for all those impacted.
Absolutely.
If it's been a number of years, then maybe things weren't going so wrong. This is certainly an unfortunate incident. There's no doubt about that. And somewhere along the line, there's a mistake. But before you're jumping to any conclusion, isn't the smart thing to do is to have it investigated and to let the people who actually know what they're talking about provide you with a memo, a detail, so that you can come to the American people and tell them what happened? No, common sense is all you need, right? You can look on that video and already make a determination because you have an airplane, because you own a helicopter. Common sense. It's why I keep saying this community is important. Where Trump does right, I will be the first one on this episode to turn around and to say, Trump did right. When he does wrong, we're here for that too. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. We're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.